So I always looked at my mother as someone that looked after herself. She was very well groomed with her hair. She was very well groomed with her beauty. And my auntie, the same, she was one of the very pretty and very well-groomed women of Iran at the time. And I think being raised up in that environment, there is no shame for me today to absolutely be proud of the fact that I do take care of myself. And one of the most important things I think women have to understand is today we just want to be the best version of ourselves. So one of the things with Cosmetic is we don't want to transform ourselves to someone else, but we want to keep ourselves going and obviously making ourselves the best version we can be.
Was there ever any time as you were growing up in Australia or when you emigrated that you felt really different and you wished you were a blonde, blue-eyed, Aussie girl?
Well, I don't think I ever wanted to transform myself to that extent. No, never. I think every human has got their own unique personalities and unique looks about them. And as Persians say, every flower is different, but they all have got different scent, but they're all beautiful in their own way. I never wanted to, but I think with every woman, I think we were raised in a time that being very super skinny was very important. But I'm very glad for today, especially being a mother of two daughters, that image of being that skinny has gone, because that caused a lot of problem amongst a lot of women that are new growing up in our era, where it caused a lot of eating disorders, mental problems. But I think with today, people are being more realistic about their body shape. And I love the way that women own it, having curls, it's beautiful. And people are not so weight obsessed like we used to be. We're actually becoming more fitness obsessed, which I think is a very good improvement and era in beauty. And to be honest, I think the Kardashians changed that for us. They've really brought the good image of, you've got to be proud of having curves. You've got to be proud of your own body. And I think I have had surgery on my body, don't get me wrong, but I like to maintain it as a feminine figure.
Can you share with me your, any kind of insights on working on that show and those conversations around being powerful, sexy, vital at any age?
I think women are very much like a nice bottle of red wine. We just get better with age. And I think having that age focus is a very, it's not the right mentality, especially for today's world we're living. And I think one of the most amazing things about Housewives that I liked, all those women had cosmetic work and they owned it. They admit to it. They were all having Botox. There was only one person, which was Nicole, that didn't. So I have to share that with everyone. But I think most of the women were very proud of being in the 40s and 50s. And I think when you become older, it's your achievement that creates you. It's not so much your appearance. Because I think when you're younger, you are still young, you're studying, you're doing things. You haven't really, from a self perspective, you haven't really self-fulfilled yourself. But I think when you become a mom and you have got your own businesses, you're successful, you've gone even through divorces, these things in women make them a lot stronger. And we start owning who we are. And there's nothing more attractive than a person that owns their life, owns their mistakes, they're honest about what they've done. I think this is what makes a good woman. I think we all just, focusing on someone's age and weight, those are variable objects in a person. You're not going to always be 21 and you're not always going to be 49 kilos. So those are the variable things. You cannot really live your life based on those, because every young person will become older. But I think when I look back at my life, I have achieved so much as a woman. I am a mother of two beautiful daughters. I have built up a business on my own. I did the Housewives. I became a beauty expert on Channel 7. I have a job that I'm passionate about and I love it and I'm good at it. So these are more achievements in my life that I look back and I go, well, I've done it. So I think these are very important things as women we have to look at more than, oh yeah, I'm young, because you're not going to be young forever. So you've got to think about during your youth, what are you doing to build up your future?
Because you're so beautiful now. And maybe when I speak to people, the ones who are more beautiful now are people who weren't necessarily as beautiful growing up. And then they learned the secrets of the beauty industry, and whether it was cosmetic enhancements or surgery or great skincare or great fitness regime that transformed their body type. And then they kind of come into their own in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. So that's why I asked the question.
And I was pretty lucky to have a job in that industry, because I think today I have really looked after my skin. And I think it's very important for especially women from the age of, because your skin changes in every decade. So one thing people don't understand, what the skin you got in your teenage years is not going to be the skin you're going to have in your 20s. And one thing I realized, if you get acne and you don't treat the acne, ladies, something bad that's going to happen is in your 20s, you may have some acne scarring, but in your 30s, those acne scarring will turn into wrinkles, and you will end up having more wrinkles than another person without acne. And simply because where you got acne scarring is a breakdown of the skin collagen. So it's very important for the kids to not squeeze the pimples, to use really good skincare. It's very important with the teenagers to put themselves on a very good skincare regime.
So when did you start really doing cosmetic enhancements?
So as Rod Stewart said years ago, they asked him, they go, what's the difference between a woman who looks sexy, and my apologies for using this term, that a woman looking really trashy? And he goes, it's 1 centimeter. So what I normally say, which is in your skirt, and what I normally say to my patients, I say, looking enhanced cosmetically or looking overdone is that extra syringe. So I am one injector that I must say, and I'm very proud of it. I tell my clients, no, you've had too much. I do a restriction of how many meals I inject to people, because sometimes you see people going, I've had 6, 7, 8 meals. I don't normally agree with that. I believe in cosmetic less is more. But at Matty by Matty, what we encourage our clients is look after your skin, because unless you have developed your skin, you looked after it, you're using right skincare, and you build the skin into the natural thickness that it needs, overfilling it sometimes can actually make the person look a lot unusual or weird. Sometimes I look at some women that have been treated and I go, it's better to have a bit of wrinkle than be looking so puffy or overly done. So I don't believe in all this liquid facelift. I don't think that's a good idea. I think if your skin has lost a lot of elasticity and you've got a lot of loose skin, sometimes you can enhance it to a certain extent, but to try to lift it with fillers is going to create a completely deformed face. And that's something that I'm not pro.
Can you just quickly take us through what happens to lips and why we should consider getting our lips done as part of our ageless look?
I think one of the main things happens with the lips due to the process of speaking, eating, drinking. I mean, your lip is one mobile muscle on your face, if you think about it. And one of the things that people don't realize is what we refer to as smoker lines, or you want to call them normally smile lines. So around the lip a lot happens. And also we have got fat pad at the corner of our mouth that actually drop, and as your skin sags, it drops on the areas. One thing that I've always advised people is don't overdo your lips. Go very subtle with it. And also with young girls, one thing that is really important, they never ever put a permanent product in your lip, because what happens is when you have permanent products, you can only do 1 or 2 revision of it, and you can never use a semi-permanent such as other products we use around the lip area, because what happens is if you have got a permanent lip to make your lip really full, because you're thinking I'm 20, I want to have my lips really big, but what happens is when you hit the age 30 and 40 and you start getting those smoker lines and you start getting oral commissures, which the drooping of the skin and sagging of the skin happens, we cannot use semi-permanent products in those areas. And I think with lips, there's a lot to it. And a lot of time people have got uneven bites as well, which can create that. Uneven bites. So which comes from your teeth. So one of the arts in doing lips is to understand the muscle, to understand the aging of the lip. And what I always do is I always assess people's bites, because if it's a dental problem, it's something I may not be able to create the lip completely even. Or if it's sometimes people have got overactive muscle on the right side to the left side of the face. So those are the things you really have to consider. You just don't inject lips. You're going to look at it. You're going to look at how a lip's going to age. And more importantly, you got to get people to speak to you when you do their lips, because a lip, you're not going to be sitting like this with a perfect lip the whole time. Your lip's going to move, and it's very important, because normally also when we take photos ourselves as selfies, which women do today, we're all doing this. Well, in that look, it looks perfect, but what happens when a person speaks? What happens when a person eats? What happens when a person smiles? So I think when you're doing lips, you got to consider all of those. And also remember that 2 areas of the skin that with women you see aging is always under the eyes, which I'm a great believer of PRP, where we take the blood, spin it, inject it. And I think on the upper lip, you can also use PRP to thicken the skin, because the skin also thins out too. So those are the things to remember. And also today we're very lucky, Bahar, because we have got these dermal fillers come in different viscosity. So having your lips done doesn't necessarily mean that we are making it, enhancing it or making it bigger. That's generally volumizing the lip. But sometimes what we can do lip restoration, which is for women in their 40s or 50s or older, where they have got a nice lip shapes, but they really want to soften the wrinkles around it. And they don't want to change the shape of the lip, but they just want to make it a lot smoother and nicer.
You see a lot of what's coming next from around the world, the US, South America. What are you excited about in the future of cosmetic aesthetics and enhancement?
I think the PDO threads, I'm quite excited about them. I think they are going to be really nice, especially in Australia, especially for the neck area. I think it's fantastic, especially when women are getting that sagginess happens. I think one of the areas also skin tightening system is developing very rapidly for us. I mean, we use ultra format here, but there are other formats that is coming out. And I think if the girls start having those treatments, sometimes in the mid-30s, they may actually have to reduce having too much fillers to get rid of the wrinkles. And one thing I always advise is always look after your neck and décolletage and your chest, because these are the areas that I see a lot of women miss out of. So a lot of women go, just do toxin here, toxin there, but there's no point in aging half of your face while you're maintaining and trying to make it ageless the other half, which we focus a lot on our frown lines around our eyes, but I think under the eyes is very important. So I think the new skin tightening systems are coming out are very, very going to be good. And I think people got to consider doing that more like they do the toxins, because we do the toxins so we don't get the frown lines and the wrinkles. So we want to maintain our muscle that our skin is attached to. So I think one of the best things you can do is look into this new skin tightening system, because they don't only thicken your skin and tighten your skin, but it also tighten the ligaments that hold the skin up. And the prevention is always better than cure, but my advice is don't overdo it, girls. Enjoy your youth. In your 20s, enjoy your youth. But when you hit 30, start looking into these procedures.